Since its E3 2018 reveal, Dying Light 2 has struggled to get out the door. From Paul Selinger, a 22-year veteran departing to the loss of Chris Avellone in June and multiple delays, the bumpy ride has continued. Outlet The Gamer spoke to employees from Techland about the state of the game as well as their workplace. One source called it, quote, a production pipeline that changes so quickly and rapidly, it might as well not exist, end quote. Quote, what is going on in Techland is just total chaos, not iteration, end quote, explained another source. Quote, there are plenty of examples where there is someone responsible for a given feature, but creative director Adrian Sizuski, and CEO Paul Marchuka, I might stutter over a couple of these here, just overwrite this because of some bullshit reason. Like they've seen something working differently in other games, end quote, which, by the way, is very prevalent in this article, like the obsession with other people's work and trying to replicate it in their own. Another source called it, quote, a well-known joke at Techland that nothing is ever approved, including the name of the game. You can be told to redo some of your work you had approved for a month just because the CEO changed his mind after seeing something on the internet, end quote. Quote, it is 100% true that there is nothing written in stone in Techland. Dying Light 2's story was rewritten like 6 times or so. It could have worked in Dying Light, but it just makes production for Dying Light 2, a much bigger project, impossible to move forward, end quote. According to the report, the core of the problem, CEO Paul Marchuka, the write-up cites a uncomfortable work situation where employees go to his wife, who also works at Techland, to pitch ideas in the hopes of being able to convince him in turn. It also states that he has a desire to continuously bring in, quote, new experts, end quote, as they cycle staff in and out of Techland, and 20 employees of their total of 400 have left so far. Interestingly, Marchuka was contacted by the gamer. This is really something that rarely happens, where the report usually comes out and then you have a follow-up. So this is all embodied in this report. And actually, Marchuka responded to some of the claims about him. Quote, Techland has its very own way of producing games, end quote, Marchuka says. Quote, with each title, it is constantly adapting to the needs of the project, the size of the team, and other aspects affecting our work. I think that is what most companies across the world do, end quote. So there is a lot more in the terms of extra details, but I tried to pull out the juiciest ones here. Anthony A. writes in, Dukes and Lords, a recent article on The Gamer revealed some non-too-flattering behind-the-scenes strife at Techland regarding the prolonged development of Dying Light 2. Mismanagement, bad communication, and hemorrhaging talent appears to be a few of the problems at the rising developer. After reading this article, would it be wise for Microsoft to, quote, get in bed, end quote, with Techland in the terms of potentially buying the studio or exclusivity for Dying Light 2? This is something we've talked about on the show before, thanks to rumors. On one hand, I say no, but on the other, if Microsoft can come in and flux with cash, it can exactly be it can be exactly what this game and the developer need to get it over the hump, as well as locking up a potential hit from an up-and-coming studio. Stay sexy, stay safe. Thank you, Anthony. Wow. So yeah, like I said, the write-up I have here, I have to be honest, it probably doesn't do the whole article justice, because it is like a multi-page just.
It sounds like a sitcom.
Quotes. Yeah, just absolutely blowing the door open on kind of what's happened with Dying Light 2. And so the main takeaway here is, like I said, the CEO is apparently cycling in talent. It seemingly will see something online or see something in Cyberpunk, see something in some game and say, well, we've got to do that now. And they're like taking stuff out, adding stuff in, redoing parts of the story. So this thing sounds heavily disjointed. And it really concerning, because when I saw this at E3 2018, when I went and previewed it, dude, that shit looked good. I don't know where the lack of confidence comes from what I was shown, and obviously what the public was then shown afterwards with the 20 plus minutes of gameplay. But yeah, I thought this was really important to highlight, because this is something that was reportedly in Microsoft's wheelhouse. They were helping get this game on track or something along those lines. And you know, when you hear stuff like this, what do you guys make of it? Do you not only from the Xbox perspective, but more so just in general, what's going on with Techland, and what do you think the fate of Dying Light 2 may be at the end of this road?
Go ahead.
I mean, I think it's gonna come out one way or another. They've invested too much into it. If I was Microsoft, I wouldn't want to get involved with a project that sounds this chaotic. It sounds like you have a CEO that doesn't know how to appoint management and instead wants to micro everything, which is like the most toxic work environment ever. When you have someone that's just constantly over your shoulder, you can't do it. If anything, if Microsoft did want to get on board with this, I think it would have to be with a with a deal. Like, we're coming in, we're installing a creative director who's getting final say on the project, and we're paying you money. We are leading out the development and closing it. You'd have to force the CEO to go hands off, because otherwise I wouldn't want to get involved with that.
Yeah.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like at most they'll probably do a Game Pass deal. I feel like that's probably the safest thing. Hey, you guys finish your game whenever you finish it. It'll be day one here on Game Pass. Get as many people through the door and just kind of keep it at that.
Yeah.
That's normally what I'd take a look at it as. Carrick, what about you?
I think if you look at Microsoft's purchasing, they don't purchase companies that are in destructive flux. So I don't think you would see them purchase them. Because I know a lot of people, there was some hints that might happen, and then the Techland guy came out and blah, blah, blah. And I know it's gone back and forth in the rumor mill. When it comes to helping them, I don't see any reason why Microsoft would help them. I don't know from the outside what my own life looks like, but I'm sure if somebody looked at it, there would be a ton of complaints about me and how I do things, because we all do things different. And at least with these complaints, some are bad, and should be fixed right away. Like, there was some sexist stuff that was weird. Like, he has a picture of he has like a painting. I read all this, by the way. It was like Austin Powers, the video game producer. Because he's got an actual, in his office, he has an actual painting of a naked woman and a lion. And I'm like, dude, we're in the fucking 2000s now. Like,
yeah,
that's
weird to have in
that's
your
like
office.
black velvet painting, possibly some kind of chemical on a rag kind of creepiness. Like, get the fuck out with that stuff at your office. So those kind of things need to be fixed. But if they want to run it, one thing that people forget is, and we all love games, you can allow a company to fuck up. If they fuck up, and if the game is bad, that's life. That's how shit works. Everybody's like, it all has to run the same as Witcher. Well, guess what? Cyberpunk didn't, and look where they are. So, to me, the weird shit needs to get fixed. There's some PR issues for sure. You should never have your HR person be your wife. Like, what the fuck, man? You're puff, puff, pass, man. Move the bong. You're holding that thing for too long if your wife is the HR. But the other stuff, there's not a lot an outside entity can do. And so I'm not going to shed a tear for it. I don't think it looked like anything other than Dying Light 2, if that makes sense. And I wasn't in love with Dying Light 1. What I mean by that is I didn't think 1 was a classic. So 2 looked better, but I'm not going to die if it never comes out. I'm not going to die if it comes out and sucks. And I'll certainly celebrate it if it comes out and it's awesome. But I'm not too attached really right now.
I'd agree with that. I think it was a fun
fun
co-op game.
Yeah, a very fun
get a
co-op
buddy
game,
in and mess around. Oh, the zombies are coming, get on the bridge. But
Yeah.
there wasn't
There wasn't
like,
a
oh my
lot
gosh.
there, if you know what I mean. Like, there was, it was like once you saw what you saw in Dying Light.
Yeah, once you saw what you could do, you've seen it.
Yeah, it was, and having gone through it a single time on my own and then another time with co-op, it's like there was no surprises, which is okay. Oh well, there's a story surprise, but other than that.
Yeah, see, it's interesting you guys say that. I think, yeah, what you're saying, yeah, I agree with. Like, once you see it, because it doesn't have any surprises behind it with gameplay or whatever. Like, it's really how much you can buy into. I wouldn't even say a loop, but more so its mechanics.
And
like
it's a fun loop.
Danger of the night. Yeah, the parkour, the grappling. I love the game, man. I thought it was really fun. I actually kind of thought about going back to it, but now knowing what's happening with the sequel, it's how much do you want to dive into something? But right now, I hope that they do figure something out, because I thought that the sequel showed potential at the least. The story choices and stuff, because that was the weakest part of Dying Light 2. And when they were hiring talent like originally Chris Avellone, before everything came out about him, and I was thinking, wow, okay, they seem to be taking this very seriously. They seem to understand, like, this was their weak spot, because Dying Light's gameplay, I'm not going to say it was like the best thing ever, but it was enough to uphold and
solid.
be unique. Yeah, with the parkour and stuff, not many games are doing that. So you thought, all right, if this is all you get with the gameplay in the second one, and then you get a good story on top of that with the choices they were showing, I thought, hey, this could actually be something really, really sick. But who the hell knows now? If the story's been rewritten, probably what we've seen from that gameplay over a year and a half ago now, probably doesn't exist anymore. And I didn't think it seemed feasible back then. When I made a video on it, I went, how are they going to make it where, like, how does the resource management work where They literally had a choice you could make that would drain a whole section of the open world that you could explore, and if you didn't, they said you could miss it. And I'm like, choice and consequence makes sense. You want heavy choice and consequence in a game that's going to be an RPG, but
big chunks of content.
Yeah, but yeah, and also for them, like it's building parts of your open world and just saying, yeah, someone probably won't see this.
Yeah,
I don't know. That
weird.
just doesn't add up to me. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But just an update on a studio, that's been connected to Microsoft in the past. But if I'm them, yeah, I let them figure their shit out, right? Because they're not supposed to be the team that sticks their head into every mess and tries to fix it, right?
Exactly. You don't buy yourself out of those kind of problems anyway.
Their job is to, especially with the position they're in, their job is, if anything, buy themselves into complete success. Like, they want to see the game working, looking well, everyone's in agreement, and then they buy in. Right now, them coming in, a lot of people think Microsoft's like this repairman for the industry because they have a lot of money, and we've seen them make some questionable things, like teaming up with Bloober on multiple occasions. It's like, how much do you care about quality control if this is who you've selected?
Well, I mean, they've made a lot. I think Mixer was one of their biggest fuck ups, if we're being honest. Like, create a streaming platform, spend a huge amount of marketing on,
and then hire a ninja,
talent,
right? And then turn around like a month later
and abandon your platform. Like, oh.
And then Ninja just walks away with like, what, 10 million or something?
Yeah, but that's that's one thing that people don't understand. That's the money Microsoft has. That is another, to put it another way, that is Microsoft has walking away money. It's like the hot dude in a relationship. You can walk away. You're like, I'm out. I'm going to go find somebody better. And Microsoft can do that. Or
and
hot
that's
chick,
something people,
whichever.
anytime back when the Bethesda acquisition happened, there was a lot, well, Sony needs to acquire blah, blah, blah. And people don't understand, like, Microsoft could buy fucking Sony if they wanted. Microsoft has big dick fuck you money.
Not only that,
not a lot of companies have that.
I don't know if you feel the same way, Cowboy, but Maddie and I've talked about it. That's like what a console gamer warrior would say, is you need to uppercut when they uppercut. Like, it's like, what? Dude, what are you talking about? In fact, Microsoft needs to do more, not less. Like, Sony is okay. They've got their shit.
Yeah,
they've had their
studios.
Their games that have not been great, admittedly. Like Days Gone, I think, was a weird black eye for them. But they're fine. You don't need to hammer back every single time some other company does something. That's the first way you're going to screw up your company anyway.